I was the last person to see Rachel alive, and by sunrise the police had found my scarf wrapped around her dead body. In our quiet little town, someone framed me for murder. And they're still out there watching. I was halfway through my night shift at Willow Point's tiny 24-hour medical clinic when the call came in. Birch Street again. Dispatch said it was urgent, which in a town this small usually meant someone had gotten drunk enough to mistake their neighbor's shed for their own, but something in the dispatcher's voice, tight, clipped, almost trembling, made me grab my coat before she'd even finished giving the address. I didn't know then that walking out of the clinic would end the life I'd built for the past 3 years. Willow Point wasn't the kind of town where people vanished or died in the dark. The place was quiet, tucked between the pines like a well-behaved secret. I had come here to escape the noise of Boston and the ruin my ex-husband left behind, a place where I could breathe again, a place where nobody knew my past, a fresh start. But as I pulled onto Birch Street, emergency lights flickering across my windshield, I realized fresh starts don't exist, not for people like me, not when the past has teeth. Officer Jensen flagged me down, his flashlight cutting through the cold. Emily, thank God. We need you. I killed the engine and stepped into the night. The air was sharp, metallic. That's when I smelled it. Blood, thick, unmistakable, and then I saw her lying on the frost. Covered grass, pale, still, a woman I knew all too well, Rachel Porter, local reporter, occasional volunteer at the clinic, and recently, a friend. Her face was turned toward me, eyes open, as though she died mid-sentence. My breath caught in my throat. Emily, Jensen said quietly, we thought maybe you could confirm. But I couldn't hear the rest. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak, because Rachel had been at the clinic just hours before, sitting in the break room, hands wrapped around a cup of bad coffee, telling me she'd been working on something big, something dangerous, and the last person she talked to was me. By sunrise, Willow Point was buzzing like a kicked beehive. Patrol cars lined Birch Street. Neighbors whispered behind drawn curtains. Word spread that Rachel's death wasn't an accident. It was murder, and worse. Whoever killed her left something behind, a white wool scarf. My scarf, the same scarf I'd lost 2 days earlier during a late night walk. When Sheriff Dalton unfolded the scarf in front of me inside the station, I felt the room tilt sideways. That's mine, I whispered. Dalton, a broad-shouldered man in his 50s who usually smelled like campfire smoke and coffee, didn't soften his gaze. Where were you between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m.? I swallowed hard. At the clinic, alone. Anyone who can confirm that? No. My voice cracked. It was a slow night. He leaned back, exhaling through his nose. People saw you arguing with Rachel 2 days ago. That made me flinch. It wasn't an argument. She showed me something. Something she said she found near the old sawmill. But she wouldn't tell me the full story. What was it? A flash drive she wanted my advice on. On medical files she said she wasn't supposed to have. Dalton's jaw tightened. And you didn't report it? I didn't know what it was. I snapped, then lowered my voice. She told me she'd come back to explain, but she never did. The sheriff exchanged a look with Deputy Hayes, and then he said it. Emily, we're going to need you to stay in town. Don't leave without telling us. As if I had somewhere to run. By noon the next day, whispers followed me through town like stray dogs. That's her. The scarf. I always thought she kept to herself too much. She knew Rachel. Maybe that's why she moved here so suddenly. Familiar looks from my old life, suspicion, judgment, like people trying to fit me into a crime they couldn't understand. I kept seeing Rachel's eyes, not dead, pleading, as if urging me to find what she died for. I went back to the clinic, hoping to lose myself in work, but the place felt different, hollow. The staff avoided my gaze. Our receptionist, Hannah, offered me a timid smile loaded with pity, and Detective Morris, the outsider the county sent to help with the investigation, started showing up too often, watching me, not asking questions, just watching. By the third day, I wasn't sure what scared me more, the possibility that someone had framed me, or the possibility that I knew exactly who. The old Porter sawmill sat at the edge of Willow Point like a rotten tooth. Abandoned for 2 decades, the building leaned into the tree line as though it wanted to disappear. Rachel had said she found something there, so that night, because I had nothing left but desperation, I went. The wind moaned through the broken windows as I stepped inside. Dust swirled in the beam of my flashlight. The scent of damp wood filled my lungs. My footsteps echoed through the hollow space, carrying me toward the back room where Rachel had once taken photographs for an article. I found the exact spot she'd shown me in the break room, a stack of crates, a gap in the boards, and under them a small black notebook. My heart pounded as I flipped it open. Inside were names, dates, amounts of money, medical supply codes from our clinic. Someone had been stealing and distributing prescription drugs. Someone from inside the clinic. My stomach lurched. Rachel didn't die because of some rumor. She died because she found evidence of a drug ring, and by helping her identify those medical codes, I'd unknowingly marked myself as a threat. I pocketed the notebook and turned to leave, but a shadow moved behind me. A heavy hand slammed over my mouth. I kicked backward, hitting something solid, a grunt. The grip loosened just enough for me to twist free. I bolted toward the exit. Stumbling into moonlight, lungs burning, whoever it was didn't chase me, but a voice followed. Low, calm, close. Stay out of this, Emily. I froze. I don't want to hurt you. The voice continued, but if you keep digging, you'll end up like Rachel. The silhouette melted back into the trees. Before I could catch a glimpse, my pulse hammered against my ribs. Someone knew I was looking. Someone knew I'd found the notebook. Someone wanted me afraid, but fear wasn't new to me. Fear had been my childhood home. Fear had been my marriage. Fear was just another shadow. I could live with shadows, but I couldn't live with being framed for murder. I didn't sleep that night. By sunrise, I made a decision that felt like jumping off a cliff. I went to Sheriff Dalton's office. He looked weary, eyes rimmed red. I hope you're not here to tell me you're skipping town. I found something, I said, setting the notebook on his desk. His brows shot up, surprise flickering across his face. Where? At the old sawmill. Rachel hid it. He flipped through it slowly, jaw tightening. These initials. Some belong to medical staff. I know. And this last entry. He tapped the page, a date, an amount, a signature scribble so small it was almost nothing, but I recognized it, my own initials, E.H. I didn't sign. That, I whispered, nausea rising. Dalton leaned forward. Emily, this looks bad. I'm being framed. I pleaded. Someone stole my scarf, planted my initials, and someone threatened you. He cut in. You should have told me that immediately, because I'd made myself look guilty by hiding it. Dalton exhaled. Look, I don't think you killed Rachel. Shock rippled through me. You don't. You're not the type. His voice softened, but someone wants us to think you are. For the first time since Rachel died, I felt a crack of light pushing through the darkness. It didn't last long, because the door opened, and Detective Morris stepped inside, holding a warrant. Doctor. Harper, he said coldly, you're coming with us. The station lights felt brighter than they should have been. Harsher. Morris paced in front of me like an impatient wolf. You were at the sawmill, he said. Witness reports confirm that. Witness, there had been no one. You had motive. He continued. Rachel discovered evidence that pointed to you. That evidence was planted. I snapped. Sheriff Dalton saw the notebook. But Dalton wasn't in the room, and Morris smiled. Slowly, cruelly, Emily, I think you're lying. It hit me like a punch. Morris didn't just suspect me. He wanted me guilty. That's when the door opened and Dalton stormed in, face flushed. Detective. Morris, that's enough. Morris raised an eyebrow. Sheriff, I'm conducting an interrogation. Not anymore, you're not. Dalton held up a folder. I ran background checks on everyone who had access to clinic supplies. Everyone, including visiting officials. He pointed at Morris. Your name popped up where it shouldn't. Morris's face drained of color. Dalton turned to me. Emily, step outside. I didn't move. What's happening? I whispered. Dalton looked at me with a grim finality. I think we just found your frame artist. Morris didn't run. He didn't shout. He simply sat down, like a man who knew the story was ending exactly the way he expected. I warned you to stay out of this. He murmured the same voice from Sawmill, my stomach twisted. You killed Rachel, I whispered, his eyes lifted to mine, cold and glassy. She was reckless. She found records I was going to sell. She talked too much. You helped her understand them. That made your problem too. You stole my scarf. I said numbly. You dropped it outside the clinic. I picked it up. Seemed useful. He shrugged. Small towns love simple answers. Dalton's fists clenched. You used your badge to tamper with evidence. And it worked, Morris said simply. For a while, I felt something break inside me, a piece of innocence I had left, a piece that still believed justice was simple. Morris looked at me almost gently. I wasn't going to kill you, Emily. Framing you was enough. Sheriff Dalton slammed the cuffs on him, jaw tight with fury, and for the first time in days I could breathe. Willow Point exhaled with the news of Morris's arrest. The drug ring files were secured, and every name in Rachel's notebook was investigated. 2 clinics. Employees were quietly removed, but none had been involved in Rachel's murder. The town apologized to me in awkward, fumbling ways. Baked goods left at my door, murmured sorries at the grocery store, neighbors offering rides I didn't need. But the truth was, I wasn't the same. I visited Rachel's grave 3 weeks later. The pines whispered overhead, bending slightly in the wind. I'm sorry, I whispered. I should have insisted you go to Dalton sooner. Silence. Thank you, I added softly, for trusting me. A breeze brushed past, gentle and cold. I took it as her answer. Life didn't snap back into place. Trust takes time, healing takes longer, but I stayed in Willow Point. Because Rachel believed in this town, because someone had to finish what she started, because running had nearly ruined me once before, and because, beneath everything, I still believed this place had good left in it. Darkness had come for me, but I had walked through it, and I wasn't afraid of shadows anymore. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.